My father used to be totally positive about the benefits of the computer revolution. In the mid-1970s, when I was in high school, he was the first on the block to get an Apple desktop computer, floppy disks, the whole thing. And when people would ask him, what are on those floppy disks? He would say, well, we got recipes. And they're like, why do you need a big machine upstairs on the desk in your office to have recipes when you can just keep them on note cards in the kitchen where you actually do the cooking? And it's a good question. But he would say things like, listen, computers are the future. We're all going to have one. And people would be like, no, we're not all going to have one. But he was a little eccentric and a little ahead of his time. And he saw things like it's possible and obviously desirable to have the town in which he lived post its budget online. To my father, it made sense for every check that the town wrote to be able to be read online by any citizen of the town. We're the taxpayers, after all. It's our money you're spending. Why wouldn't we all be able to see where every check goes and balance out the budget ourselves, and just to check to make sure you're not stealing anything? As well as an idea like that for posting checks online, my father envisioned computer systems that allowed the whole town to debate an issue, to come online together, discuss it, and vote on it together online. This episode is really a riff on these ideas that I got from him. The riff took me to an idea for a reality TV show called Deciding Together. So how hard is it for people to decide things together? It's really, really hard. I mean, can humans handle disagreement well? Let me ask you, can humans handle disagreement well? Take a look around, assess the current situation here on planet Earth, and get back to me with what you think. Even being in a group of 3 people trying to decide what movie to see together, it can be excruciating. A small group of just 20 people trying to decide something. How about a small town? Do we build a new school building, or should we just renovate the old one? Making decisions together can be... Given how tough it is, we still have to recognize that the United States was founded during a time when there was intelligent and vigorous discussions happening during town meetings all across the country. Now that we have AI, computers, ways of hooking up via conference calls, my question is it possible for 100,000 people to have an online meeting, propose various options, discuss them, and then make a decision together? That's what I want to talk about today. Hello, and welcome to the 10 Crutches podcast. My name is David. I'm glad you're here. Here are the basics for the reality show called Deciding Together. I think setting the limit at 100,000 participants is the right number. You want something really large, much larger than you could ever hope to have in person, and not so large that it's crazy large. So I thought 100,000 is good. But if you want to do it, see the show notes. I write a full disclaimer. You take this idea and run with it if you want to. It's kind of a kooky idea. But the main thing is, can we decide things together? Can we? If you want to be in the show, you have to make 2 contributions. The first contribution is to help cover the cost of producing the show. And this should be, in my opinion, kept to a very reasonable minimum. Of course, whoever's doing this needs to be able to cover costs. You don't want to have to sell out to anyone. So at least I wouldn't. So plan a budget and divide it by 100,000. Be very honest, be meticulous, be very transparent about where all the money is going for the expenses. Film the thing with your phone, limit traveling around, find creative ways to let people know what you're doing. The main expense, I think, would be developing the AI to be able to hold this conversation between 100,000 people. If all of this works, you're going to have 100,000 people to help you get the word out, so you don't need to spend money on advertising. So let's say there's a $10 fee for joining in and you raise $1 million to produce the thing. The first contribution covers the cost of the show. The second contribution is $100. If there are 100,000 people who each contribute $100, you've just collected $10 million. So now you have 100,000 participants, you have your operating expenses, and you have $10 million being held in escrow. So the most important thing to do is develop a way for all these 100,000 people to speak together, to contribute ideas, to hear ideas from each other. You'd have to train an AI to read what everyone has written and create summaries for all the viewpoints and let people know what's going on with all the people at the same time. Everyone needs to be able to comment, to make proposals, to influence, to be influenced. The game is to find a way to make a decision together around the question, where does the $10 million go? And of course, for all your effort, you get paid a little something too. I imagine potential participation from all around the world. That's one way to do it. You might want to keep people all within the same time zone so they can decide things together at the same time. But having a worldwide deciding together where you have a kind of asynchronous conversation with people, that also could be very interesting. I would not recommend waiting for a unanimous decision, but I would aim high, like 80%, 85%, to get the answer, a certifying answer for a final vote, something like that. And you'd really have to be a good host, really help people stick with what they feel is important, be flexible enough to work well with others, kind of like we're all supposed to learn in kindergarten. The idea is for the AI to help us all talk together. The last thing I'd say is you'd have to find some way for people to trust you and to trust the AI program, to really represent them and represent all the people. Some way for anyone who writes in to see how their particular comment was categorized, how it was responded to, how it was dealt with by the AI. You'd have to figure out something along those lines. Of course, what the show is really about, it's a practice run for when we humans are actually mature enough as a species to talk to each other and to want to hear from each other. For when we are mature enough to work out conflicts together. For when people not only have their own point of view, but want to hear other points of view. The game is a rehearsal for when we can start thinking not only of ourselves and what we think is right, but also take into consideration what other people value at scale. The practice is for a very large group to make an important decision together. Can so many people make even one important decision together? Well, let's watch and find out. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Please visit the home of the 10 Crutches podcast at 10crutches.link. That's 10crutches.link. The book that inspired the podcast, a book I wrote called 10 Crutches for Walking in the Present, is available for free download on the website. While you are there, please take advantage of 2 ways to contact me. You can send me an email or you can make a voice recording. If you have a great question, I may be able to use it for the podcast. Also on the website, you can visit the archive to hear any published episode and see show notes for any and every show. Thanks so much for listening. And once again, thanks so much for listening. And I won't say it once again. See you next time.